If you are in a place where it is safe, appropriate, and comfortable for you, please close your eyes and begin to take some long, slow, deep, relaxing breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. With every inhale, feel more light and peace entering the body and the mind, and with every exhale, feel like you are letting go of all tension from the body and mind, along with anything else that you do not want. Inhaling light and peace, and exhaling as you drop away all tension. We see in the middle of our minds a beautiful mountain, and we are on top of this beautiful mountain, and we are surrounded by a circular grove of trees, and in the center of the circle a bonfire blazes forth, lighting us with a sacred golden light. We recognize that this is the light of perfect love and perfect trust, and it easily burns away everything that is unlike itself, leaving us safe and serene. Into this sacred space we invoke the presence of our Creator. To many of us, our Creator reveals themselves to be a god and goddess, a mother and father. Also into this space we invite the presence of our guides, our angels, our teachers. We dedicate the time that we spend together to one another and to them. And we ask that we be guided and led as we walk upon the way, becoming happier, wiser, more prosperous, and more loving people. Thank you very much, and together we say blessed be. We are almost finished with the 8 different principles of the divine, and today we are going to be talking about the principle of the divine called law, divine law. Divine law is in angel magic associated with Cassiel, the planet Saturn, and sphere number 3 on the Hermetic tree of life. You can think of scientific laws for just a moment, and you can start to get an inkling of divine law. Think of a divine law such as water seeking its own level. This is something that's always been the case. It's not something that was voted on. There was no act of Congress that decided that water will seek its own level. It's been true since there's been water. The law of gravity has been in effect for as long as we've had the earth. There are laws in nature that are always there. Now, the primary divine law is that called cause and effect. You can recognize that everything that exists has a cause. Now, in divine law, we recognize that all causes are invisible, that the mind is the cause of all matter, and that matter is a reflection or projection of the mind. Now, in the Hermetic principles, there are 7 Hermetic principles. I have a bunch of lectures on the Hermetic laws and the Hermetic principles, and you might want to take a listen to those if those are something that are interesting to you. But today we are talking about law as a divine name. That's what all of this particular series of talks is all about. We have in magic divine names on each Kabbalistic sphere, divine names, for instance, Hebrew divine names that we think silently during the angelic silence. All kinds of magic have divine names that they use, depending on what system you're working with. The divine names that we are considering are English names, and they are qualities of the divine that oftentimes we don't think of as proper nouns. But you can call on God as law. Anytime you feel the need to have a grounding in principle, you can think about it as sphere number 3 is the law itself. Sphere number 4 is the judgment of the law. And then sphere number 5 would be the execution of that law, to make sure that law is being executed, that makes sure that law is being followed. That flow of power goes through the different spheres on the tree of life. Infinite intelligence's law of cause and effect is the law of harmony. Infinite intelligence's laws are not punitive like human laws. They are what make life happen. And all of God's laws are there for our protection, for our happiness, for our joy. They are gifts to us. They are not punitive. The only time that the laws of the divine can seem punitive is when we go against the law. But that's not because the law is punishing us any more than the stove being hot punishes you when you touch it. It's not that the stove is having some judgment against you and saying, you are so evil, therefore I will burn you. It's that the stove is hot, and when you touch it, that's not where your hand goes. It doesn't go on a hot stove. And so you immediately get a response from your nerves to say, stop doing that. The laws are always present, no matter what. Think in terms of how radio waves are always there. They're always there. If a station is broadcasting a program, the radio waves are always present, but we don't pick up that signal unless we tune a receiver into that signal. So if you are tuning to that exact frequency, you will get that program. A lot of times people think what's going to happen with magic is infinite intelligence is going to change its law for us. So let's say something's happening where, like, a very important person accidentally fell off of a cliff. We can't call on infinite intelligence and say, this very important person fell off a cliff, change the law so that gravity doesn't affect them anymore. The laws aren't there for certain people. Some people aren't more important than other people. All the laws are there for all of us. It is the great equalizer. And like I said before, they are there for our protection. They are there for our harmony. They are there for our joy. Now, the only time that they don't seem that way, as I also said, is when we are going up against those laws, or we're trying to work our lives in such a way that it's going against one of those divine laws. So remember that when you're working magic, when you cast a spell, you're not saying, I am going to defy the laws of the divine. What you're doing instead is saying, I'm going to tune in to where that divine law is being broadcast so that I can have what I want. Because infinite intelligence's will for you is to be happy. Once you understand that, it makes it so much easier. Infinite intelligence wants you happy, wants you successful, wants you peaceful, wants you joyous, wants you free, loves you unconditionally. The reason why you're alive is because it's a gift to you. And so once we understand that, when we then start making choices and goals and working our magic so that we can have the things that we want in our lives, we understand that we're not having to go up against infinite intelligence all the time, that we can work through those divine laws to get our needs met, to get our goals met. And if we're going up against those laws constantly, then we have to rethink things. A lot of times why we're going up against the laws of the divine is because we are wanting something that's not truly what we want. Because our heart's desires, the desires of our heart, they are at one with divine law. So if you have a desire in your heart for something, and it's what we call a righteous desire of your heart, it's there to be fulfilled. And so that's fulfilling the law for you to receive that and to achieve that. And so tuning into that divine law will help you in achieving that objective. But a lot of times we mistake the righteous desires of our heart as something else. We think that something is the righteous desire of our heart when it is not, when it's a should, or when it's a passing lust, or when it's some sort of a neurotic desire. And in those cases, those things are not usually for our highest good. For instance, let's say you're a meth addict. Let's say you're addicted to crystal methadone, and you're in a program, and you're working your program, and you're doing great. Then all of a sudden you get this desire to do meth. That addictive desire to do meth is not part of the divine design for you. It's not part of infinite intelligence's law for you. And so you trying to work magic to get the meth, and then you did, well, maybe if I do magic, I can have the meth and have it not hurt me. There's no way that you're going to be able to achieve that because that's going against the law of infinite intelligence. So if you're achieving that, you're going to be going up against the law each and every time. You're not going to have the full support of the universe behind you on that. Whereas if you have this desire to start a business, let's say, doing something that is a talent of yours, and that it's going to bring so much joy to you and so much joy to people, it's going to bring great money, it's going to bring jobs, it's going to be doing all of those things, that desire is there because it's there to be fulfilled. Because it's the fulfilling of divine law that you do that. And so that divine design of your desire in your heart can therefore be fulfilled. And if you do spell work on that, then it's just a matter of tuning in to the divine law so that you can allow yourself to be brought to the manifestation of that desire. So a lot of times what happens is we come up against divine law when we're trying to achieve our goals or achieve our desires or solve our problems. And it's not that the divine law is trying to thwart our happiness. It's that we're on the wrong track. We're trying to go for something that's going to make us less happy, that's going to be bad for us, that's not a true righteous desire of our heart. And that's why it almost seems like we are being bucked at every turn. And the reason why is because we need to rethink our goal. We need to rethink our design. We need to rethink our desire. When we are feeling like our spells aren't working, if we're discouraged because our spells aren't working, we don't think that we're getting anywhere, and there's just something wrong. There's something wrong with us, or there's something wrong with magic. That's when we have to look at divine law. And you can actually invoke divine law. You can call you. I call upon divine law. I want divine law to be present here and now. I want the law of the divine to be working through my desire, working through my goal, working through the solving of this problem. And when you do that, what you can do is then you're in a place where you can follow on that frequency so that you're guided to change your desire. You're guided to change your approach. You're guided to change and tweak your goal. Because very often you're off the path, you're off the beam, you're off that frequency, trying to get something that's not so good for you. And then when you can allow yourself to tweak that, to change that, then you're allowing yourself to work with the law rather than bucking up against it. And let me tell you, very frequently when that happens, almost always, it's not that infinite intelligence is saying, oh, you can't have that because it's too much. It's infinite intelligence saying, you're on the wrong track because that's not enough. It's not that it's too much, it's that it's not enough. That's not good enough for you. You're not going for the right thing. You're going for something really small, and we want you to go for something really big. So very frequently, the law supports you in your highest efforts, and that when you're not going for the highest effort, then the law doesn't support you anymore because you're on the wrong frequency. So calling on divine law is very powerful. Now, divine law always works. There's nobody that's immune to divine law. It always works. And when things are working for us, we know that we are in alignment with divine law. And when things aren't working for us, not only personally, but collectively as a species, we know that we are out of harmony with divine law. And so that by just simply invoking divine law, we can ask that divine law be revealed to us so that we can change course and that we can be happy, we can be successful, we can be free, and we can find all of those satisfying desires of our hearts easily and very satisfactorily because we have changed course based on divine law rather than going up against the divine law. So it's really powerful for us to think in terms of it's divine law that I be happy. It's divine law that I succeed. Just like when I drop a book on the floor, gravity works for me. Hitler drops a book to the floor, gravity worked for Hitler. Mother Teresa dropped a book on the floor, gravity worked for Mother Teresa. Jesus dropped a book on the floor, worked for Jesus. Stalin dropped a book on the floor, worked for Stalin. It works for everybody, right? Oxygen in the air, that when you breathe it in and it's converted to energy, it keeps you alive. You can breathe that oxygen in. Mother Teresa can breathe that oxygen in. Jesus breathed that oxygen in, if that character really exists. Hitler breathed the oxygen in. It doesn't matter. So divine law is for everybody. There's no people that are more important or less important. Everybody gets even access to divine law, and it applies evenly to everybody. And that's why divine law is a leveling playing field. It levels the playing field. Everybody is equal in the eyes of divine law. And like I said, it always works no matter what. So if things aren't working for us, it's possible that we're trying to defy one of the divine laws. And like I said earlier, the main divine law is the law of cause and effect. So usually when something's not working out for us, it's because our cause is incorrect, which means what? Our thinking, our ideas are out of alignment with what divine law has for us and wants for us. If you're working psalm magic, you know how we talk about the Lord as being the source of all? If you wanted to, all you'd have to do is replace the word Lord with the word law, and you'd start getting it. It's the law. The law is the law of the universe that wants you to have these things. It's the law of the universe that corrects all of these things. It's the law of the universe that is taking care of you, that is caring for you, that loves you, that feeds you, that makes sure that all of your needs are met. That's the law. And when those things aren't happening, it's because in some way you're trying to defy the laws of the divine. You know how much it hurts when you fall down? It's because at some point you tried to defy the law of gravity. At some point, the law of gravity and you did not get along. It's not because the law of gravity is punishing you. It's because somewhere along the line, you made an error with the divine law of gravity. Like we said earlier with the hot stove, it's not that there was some sort of punitive judgment against you when you got burned. It's just that somewhere along the line, that heat, which is there to actually be a support system to you, that law of heat is there to actually help you and bring good in your life and support your life. At some point along the line, you and that divine law went up against each other. And so then it seemed like that law hurt you, but it didn't hurt you. It didn't hurt you. You were hurt because of your mishandling of the law. So when we have interpersonal relationship problems, it's not that the law of the universe is punishing that couple or punishing those people. It's because in some way, those people are misusing the law or coming up against the law. And so now they are seemingly being punished by that law, but they're not being punished punitively. It's the same exact principle as the person that accidentally put their hand on the hot stove. So those laws are there for our protection. Those laws are there for our peace, our happiness, our harmony. And if we're not feeling protected, peaceful, happy, and harmonious, it's because in some way we are misunderstanding or trying to get around or misappropriating or in some way out of harmony with one of those divine laws. So when that happens, it's a good idea to call upon divine law and recognize that the ultimate divine law is the law of cause and effect, which is the law of harmony. So you can call upon that law of harmony anytime you feel out of sorts. But then what you have to do when you call upon and invoke the law of harmony, the divine law of harmony into your life, is allow yourself to change so that you are then in accord with the law of harmony. Right? Because calling on the law of harmony, calling on the law of harmony, calling on the law of harmony, but then digging your heels in and saying, but I'm not changing, all that's going to do is keep reminding you how out of harmony you are. Your job after you call upon that law of harmony is to allow yourself to change and to recalibrate so that you are in accordance with that law of harmony. Just like we had to tune in that radio station to get the station we desired. That's all there for our benefit. That's all there for our happiness and for our success. And when we are in pain and when we are out of sorts with the laws of the universe, it's those things are there to remind us that something has to happen, that we can recalibrate ourselves to become in harmony with the laws of the universe. So calling on the law of the universe, calling on divine law as a divine name. Now, when you think about the principle of, or the divine quality of law, divine law, as that third sphere on the tree of life, Saturn, it also reminds you that law sometimes is slow. It's not always as fast as we want it. Sometimes these laws happen in a way that seem to take a while because we live in a time-space continuum. So invoking that law, sometimes you'll get instantaneous results, but sometimes it takes a while, and that's a blessing because it sometimes takes a while for us to recalibrate and to rethink and to learn how to live in accordance with these laws. And we don't want it so fast that we keep hitting our head against that brick wall over and over again, because that's painful. So that's the compassionate part of the universe, is that things can take time. And we think we want everything now. We think we want everything immediately. But the way that the law works sometimes is very slowly. And that's so that it can be painless. It can be a painless adjustment to get into that law. If you change course too quickly from the fighting of divine law into the acceptance of divine law, it can give you a type of spiritual whiplash that's injurious, and that's not something that infinite intelligence is interested in. Infinite intelligence is interested in you having the most peaceful transition into your happiness as possible. So when we call upon divine law, we have to also find that trust that things are working out for us, and that it's only our only job is to keep refining and tuning that dial so that we get that station as clearly as possible, and then just take one step at a time, what they call in AA the next indicated step, one little step at a time, being guided and led each way onto that path that we are in harmony with the law. And as we get more and more in harmony with the law, things start to work out for us better and better. So it can take a while, and that's actually a good thing. That's actually a compassionate thing for us from the universe. Sometimes things need to be done in the right season. And that's for our benefit too. That's for our protection too. Be aware of that when you start clamoring out to infinite intelligence. What's taking you so long? Recognize that nothing's taking so long. It's just a matter of one foot in front of the other, and that you're exactly where you need to be in the law. And as you have that desire to be in harmony with the law, that is magnetizing you to more and more harmony. And as that harmony is established, you notice it more and more. So staying very present in the moment rather than looking at trying to rush things is very important. Thank you so much for spending a little time with me today. I so appreciate you. Until next time, blessed be.